Alright, so this segment is gonna go straight to YouTube, straight to our YouTube channels. So people on YouTube, hi, and I appreciate that you're watching. Don't forget, after watching this video, to like, subscribe on the channel and share the video if you like it. The topic of this video would be my impression after completing everything on Hell difficulty as a Sorceress. Whether or not she's really the best beginner-friendly character that you can start with if you don't have any kind of items and you just purchase the game, downloaded it, you would want to play, you don't know who to start, you heard the Sorceress is the best beginner-friendly class, you consider heavily playing as her, and you started. My impressions are not set in stone, but I have something that I can compare it with, like my brother's playthrough with his Hammered In. Sorceress, overall, and what do I mean overall? In all aspects. In my opinion, it's not the best that you... it's not the best for every situation. What do I mean by that? Yes, de facto, she is the best character that you can start with if your goal is to farm items, and that's the highest, the most important aspect of her. Like, if your goal is to farm items, yes, farm exclusive items farm certain items from bosses, like uniques, like set items and so on and so forth, and you also want to do it as fast as possible, then yes, she's the best. But in regards to her power or her ability to comfortably go through the campaign without relying too much on your gear, nah, she's nowhere near close to a Hammered In. Even if you if we say pick two situations, like Hammered In with budget gear and Sorceress. With budget gear, Sorceress will have way more trouble on Hell difficulty, not only because of the immunities, but because of the natural tankiness of the Paladin as a class. I'm talking not only about auras, like the shields that he have, and so on and so forth. So, and also he is able to outdamage you, yes. Believe it or not, if we are not comparing beast gear, if we're just comparing budget gear, he is doing way more damage than you would. Of course, it comes with a price. His hammers are not so reliant in comparison to your spells. They're stuck in the terrain. He needs to have somewhat of an open area to find it, and he also doesn't have a teleport. Yes, the huge argument for a Sorceress is the ability to have teleport on demand, but that's pretty much it if you think about it, because crowd control, yeah, if you're good at kiting, you can rely on it, like I was doing it in some cases against Barbarians Ancients, against some enemies that are weak to freezing effect of your cold spells. Yes, that's true and all, but crowd control isn't the stuff that will allow you to kill monsters. The damage is, and the damage, I cannot say that having Frozen Orb at like 26 with all the gear that I have, and having Cold Mastery maxed out to the, on this level to this level 23, is equivalent or better than Hammered Ins that Holy Hammer spell that my brother was using. Nowhere near as close. Maybe because of the synergy that his aura provides, because my Cold Mastery, it doesn't allow me to do more damage. It just allows me to pierce through enemies' resistances, those that are not immune. Whereas his aura that like stacks damage like crazy, 300 or more percent in combination with his own hammer spells and so on and so forth. So this is what makes Paladin way a better choice if you want to get through the campaign more comfortable. You know what I mean? Not necessarily the fastest way around, but more comfortable. You won't be dying as much. You won't be having as much of a problem as I would when it comes to dealing with immunities. Yes, because magic damage, enemies that are immune to magic damage are not so many. They are not so many in comparison to elemental spells. But regardless, after all this, after everything that I have been said, do I still consider Sorceress to be the best class to start with? Yes. But you should have a secondary, you know? You should have either a plan, like, let's say you're starting as a Sorceress, but you want to farm your gear for... You should have some kind of secondary character to get through the game. Like, let's say you pick up Sorceress, you go to Hell difficulty, then somehow you'll be able to farm Andariel, that's all good. And just like in my case, after getting some equipment, you'll be able to go through the rest of the campaign with a lot of problems, but sure, you'll be able to pull it off. But you would skip a lot. Like, again, without any infinity, without having the ability to deal with immunities, you would skip a lot of content. And if this is your choice, if this is like your preferable strategy to just rush through the campaign, just get to the certain stuff, then yeah, Sorceress is de facto the best. However, when it comes to withstanding a lot of the blows, dealing pretty much with everybody in the game, as well as having more tankiness, not having to rely as much on gear as you would expect, Paladin is better. With him you'll be able to clear pretty much everything, like without any kind of exception. You will not need to skip certain monsters unless they're magic immune, but even with that case, your merc should deal with them without any kind of a problem. Even if you take into account the wave 2 in Bale Throne Room, just kite them away. There's some videos, there's some strategies you can kite them away, then you can teleport by using teleportation staff, and that's pretty much it. So no worries there. The only downside, like I've said, the major plus, it's like both plus and minus for a Sorceress in my opinion. Yes, you have a free teleportation in comparison to a Paladin or any other class. They cannot teleport until you get Enigma or teleportation staff. But for this you would have to pay. You are paying as a Sorceress with your resistances, you're paying with your tankiness, and you're paying with your inability to deal with immunities or with a lot of monsters, unless you have infinity, unless you are spec'd into Lightning Sorceress and you already built an infinity. So yeah, that's kind of it. I guess one thing to say is that no matter what my personal opinion as a Sorceress, what would I rate her? I mean, on the scale from 1 to 5 or 10, I'd say when it comes to farming, that will be like 10 out of 10, like without a doubt. That's because the easy access to bosses via teleportation without having to worry about Enigma, spells that do insane damage against bosses, and the fact that you can use her as an instrument to gear up your other characters easier than with other classes that you may think to start with. That's 10 out of 10 for me. When it comes to beating the campaign or just beating the content with her, 6? Like, I was thinking about like 7 or 6 at best. Because yes, teleport is great, but you are maybe like it's my mistakes that led to a lot of deaths. Yes, that could be true, but like I've said, having the teleport prevents you from being as easy access to teleport prevents you from being as tanky and as protected against all kinds of attacks, and also inability to deal with immunes. Yes, you can. I understand that the counter argument might be to skip them, but come on, like, if a person did not play Diablo 2 and he or she wants to kill everything, he's not gonna play a Sorceress. Until he gets the infinity, he's not gonna play a Sorceress. If the goal is to beat the campaign and just kill everything on the screen, at least without the infinity. So that's that. I still rate her. I still think she's a good class to start with. if your goal is to farm items from bosses, period. Not to complete the content, but to farm items, period. That's it. Because truth be told, Paladin is either any any caster, whether it be like a Bone Mancer or Paladin, but Paladin, I think it's better in terms of the tankiness and overall performance when it comes to playing through the game. And that's pretty much it. So when it comes to other stuff that I want to add to this, to the segment that I would want to upload to YouTube, I guess, one thing to say is, after everything that I have said, again, like I've mentioned, don't take my words. My words are not set in stone, and you can actually play whoever you like. I just share my thoughts, my experience after my playthrough and after seeing my brother's playthrough, and that's pretty much it. So with that being said, guys, I thank you for watching the segments I will upload to YouTube. Again, feel free to leave your comments. What do you think about Sorceress and Hammerdin, and what do you think about their weaknesses, strengths or weaknesses? What class would you rate higher? What class would you rate lower? And so on and so forth. With that being said, this segment of the video will end.